Oh, WND Live WorldNet Daily is on the air, reminding you, go to the Rumble channel, WND Newsroom. It's free. You can download it and have us in your pocket and in your hand all summer long, whatever's left of it. Welcome everybody to the program. Josh, Elizabeth, Joe, the A team is in the house here, and folks, we just witnessed that was at the DNC. This was the ladies singing the national anthem to open up one of the days, I imagine here, but what a train wreck that was, unfortunately. But we've got a lot of clips lined up. And that was just the beginning.
That's just the beginning.
But we've got a lot of clips to show you. On Monday, of course, we showed you what was going on outside as things were progressing. The protesters, the crazy costumes. I think hopefully we have the shot of this 30-foot tall IUD, inflatable IUD that Elizabeth you mentioned on Monday. So maybe we'll get into some of that. But first, we got to go through some of the speeches, some of the highlights and lowlights, basically. Of course, we just watched the Women's Caucus there botch the national anthem, but I don't even know where to start. I mean, should we just start with the future, hopefully not future vice president, the nominee here, Walz? His dance looks somewhat familiar to people. Let's look at it.
Point it out, point it out.
I'm starting to think, you guys, that when the Democrats started calling Republicans weird, that they were trying to get ahead of the narrative, because that's just weird. Joe.
Well, what I think is,
Elizabeth, go ahead.
That's just really odd that this is the persona that they are creating for him to be this folksy, hey, I'm the dad, I'm Uncle, Timmy, and okay, so he's just utterly ridiculous. If you're his kids, if he was his kids would say, Dad, stop, drop me off before we get to school because I don't want anybody to see me with you. They think that after the train wreck of 3.5 years of Kamala Harris as vice president. And I'm not even interested in talking about her cackling, her word salads, her bizarro things. Some people think she's a drinker and that she's drunk, many times. I don't know. But that persona lacks any seriousness. Kamala, this is all manufactured now. She's not serious. She's lazy. She doesn't like to follow through, do a project, make something better, fix things. She won't do anything. Then they bring in Walz, who is, obviously a leftist, could be left of Kamala, but then they bring in a doofus. So they bring in a doofus, and this is who we're supposed to want to be president if something should happen to Kamala. And I mean, to me, it's a strategic error.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Joe, you've been watching this, of course, like the rest of us. What do you make of this? There was also another clip of there was also a clip of Kamala Harris's husband dancing weird as well. I mean, what is it with these guys?
Well, I think someone was on track there when they said they're trying to get ahead of the weird narrative by calling J.D. Vance weird, because everything they do is perverse. And I'm using that word intentionally because they are the party of perversity. It's opposite world, if you want to think of it that way. Everything that should be right is wrong with them. And you played the clip of the national anthem there. Not only were they not in unison and off key, but they weren't even matching the song that was being played. I mean, they had an actual song being played for them. All they had to do was sing along with the words. They didn't have to remember the words or anything. And they were reading words too, but they couldn't get it right because everything they do is wrong and perverse. This is who they are.
It really is. It's so bizarre. Okay, so the theatrics part of it aside, of course we have the speakers who got up, and I guess we can start here with day one. Monday when we left the program, they were getting ready for night one there, which is when they had the current president, Biden. They had to get him out in front in day one so they could just like be over and done with it. But Jill came out, Dr. Jill came out and praised Joe Biden for acquiescing to the coup, apparently. Let's watch this clip.
And weeks ago, when I saw him dig deep into his soul and decide to no longer seek re-election and endorse Kamala Harris.
He's a hero.
He's a hero.
He's
Josh,
a hero.
Josh, come on. I mean, we just a month ago Biden was tweeting that he's in it to win it. He's not going anywhere. I'm not right.
I'm just looking at this comment, Matt, from S. Dell. It's down on the screen here. It says Senior Citizens Dance Club. Maybe they should have enrolled in Dancing with the Stars. Yeah, Matt, we're laughing a lot on today's episode because it's generally pathetic, but like the contrast of this to the RNC or this to anything really is this representative really of like 50% of the country? Is it really this? Like abortion is our main thing they care about, and being cringy and then also blatantly just denying everything outright. And well, we'll see in the clips to come. They kind of can't stop lying.
Yeah, if you can even get past some of the things that people are saying. I mean, obviously Biden gave his speech. We didn't even know what he was saying half the time. Here's the big takeaway about electrical women or something. Let's watch this compilation.
Women are not without electrical, not allowed. They're not without electoral. The United States Supreme Court majority wrote the following quote: "Women are not without not allowed. They're not without electoral."
This is important only that his last speech, in this kind of official capacity as a leader of the party and all that, he exposes again and confirms for all the world that he was and is cognitively challenged. He has dementia and he can't read and he can't give a speech. But the point is, his flubs now and everything, it's just so old news. But I'm glad that this was confirmed. What's really bad is that he is a mean, nasty liar. And the next clips you're probably going to show will confirm that. That's what's important here.
Yeah. And Joe, I'm beginning to, now that we're kind of at this point now, and especially with Dr. Jill's statement there, the good doctor, right?
The next Surgeon General.
Yes. I don't know. To me, it really does seem that they were like, look, Joe, and we'll see from the Nancy clips as well. Like, look, Joe, we are going to invoke the 25th Amendment and you just won't even be president anymore. So you either back out of this race or we do the 25th Amendment. And if you back out of the race, you'll be praised and you'll go out on you'll ride off into the sunset. It's starting to feel like that was probably the conversation. What do you think?
Well, Rob Schneider, the comedian, was on Fox and Friends this morning, and he happened to make this cute little quip that all those Democrats there were holding signs for Joe Biden that night saying, "We love you, Joe. We love you, Joe." But on the other side of the card, it said, "But we don't want you as our president." So they really don't love him. And the fact that they dragged that first opening night, those speeches on so long to force him to come on, I think it was 11:30-ish. I was up having to cover and post all these things on WorldNet Daily, and he didn't even start until like 11:30, and it was past midnight when it was over with. Why did they do that? Did they not want America to see the dementia Joe there, or was it sticking it to him because they really can't stomach him? You know, there's this big theory, and it might be more than a theory, it might be a reality, that the Obamas don't like the Bidens in any way, and it's a two-way street there. Neither of them like each other, and that's probably why you didn't see them in the same building when Obama spoke last night. But they just don't want him to, Biden, that is, to have anything. Oh yeah, we're going to give him a good legacy, but we're going to put him on out of prime time. He turned over the ticket to them on a golden platter. And yes, it might have been, forced out by the Obamas, Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and gang. But there is deep hatred among the party of love, as they like to call themselves. But yeah, I think they are completely done with the Bidens. You might even see criminal charges finally be brought up, and no resistance to them at this point.
Well, Joe, I don't know if it's entirely true, because we have a picture here of the DNC platform, which highlights that they're looking forward to Joe Biden's second term. This
guy
still
does not know how to use a yellow highlighter.
but this is the current official DNC platform that was released and that the delegates have to vote on. So they didn't even have time to go through and clean up their mess here.
They had time to do that.
There's a function on your computer. It's called find and replace, and you can use it in 5 seconds and find whatever term you want and replace it with another word. But apparently they haven't found it yet, or it's just laziness. Everything that Democrats do turns to poop pretty much when it comes to everything. I mean, look at California, San Francisco. They're living in their own poop out there, and they're trying to wash it off.
Hey, we saw Gavin Newsom picking up trash one afternoon.
Right,
so
right.
Come on.
And
Nancy, I want to say something about Biden. Yep. How could his team be such poor negotiators? When Nancy went in and told him he had to leave or they were going to pull the 25th Amendment, Kamala was in and she was going to lead it. And so he knew it was over. That's a fact. That is a fact. Why didn't his negotiators say, his team say, okay, I will leave, but this is what I want. I know they got money. I know that they got some kind of money. I mean, that's purely my opinion and speculation. But he got a golden parachute to walk out, because if Jill Biden had anything to do with it. But why wouldn't they say, we demand the following? Because smart people would have known this was on the offing. And he should have, just out of pure decency, look, I may despise this man, but as a decent human being, I would have thought that they would have shown him respect. The respect that I don't have for him, but as my party leader, he was humiliated. It was disgusting. That's Democrats, though. They're disgusting.
Yeah, it is.
The party.
Well, let's go back to Biden then, because he mentioned a few things that that made some headlines here. Here he is, kind of making a flub again, saying the quiet part out loud about him and Kamala's policy.
Kamala and I are committed to strengthening legal immigration.
Did you catch that?
He could have said stretching. He really could have.
Stretching illegal immigration. No, he wanted to strengthen illegal immigration. A great flub there. Yeah. And then, of course, he gets into repeating this fine people on both sides hoax that even Snopes has come out and said that is not true.
7 years too late. Okay?
Yeah, but
Snopes came out
good
7
point.
years
Of
too
course,
late.
of course. But he keeps repeating that. The Illinois governor also keeps repeating the inject the bleach lie. Let's watch these two clips back to back, if we could.
When the president was asked what he thought had happened, Donald Trump said, and I quote, "There are very fine people on both sides. My God." That's what he said. That is what he said and what he meant.
During COVID, we supported small businesses and jobs. And Donald told us to inject bleach.
This is an important, so much of this is repulsive. It's, that we're going through because the whole convention, I wouldn't wish anybody would have to watch the entire thing. I mean, it's that bad. But this goes to the heart of what Democrat and that big IUD and the abortion truck and vasectomy truck. I mean, it's weird, by the way, the vasectomy truck. Why vasectomies? Why are they for vasectomies? There's nobody pushing a law against vasectomies, no churches and, Republican. Oh, here it is. Here it is. I mean, that is so repulsive. I'm a woman. I am very offended by having things like this paraded in public as if it's, I don't know. Anyway, let me go to the point that I want to make here. The Democrats have, pulled this lever one too many times. I saw an estimate, and I don't know if it's true, because I was going to try to search to see how many times did just Biden repeat the very fine people hoax lie. And one estimate was about 500 times. That just seems crazy, but I wouldn't be really shocked. What this tells you is that from beginning to end, they are closing out the Biden presidency with this repulsive, perverse, sick lie. God punishes people who deliberately call evil good and good evil, and who lie and slander and destroy a name. And if a Democrat is watching right now, do you realize how many people from your side were woken up just by this? Because when it's so obvious that this has been debunked, it never should have even become a thing that needed to be debunked. The New York Times the next day was quoting it correctly, by the way. This is a satanic, demonically inspired organization. And so many Democrats have seen the light where they've said, I didn't know this for 7 years. And when I finally saw the full quote, it turned the light on above my head, and I'm out. I've seen massive numbers of those people. These people are evil. And by the way, Kamala just posted again. On this day 7 years ago, Donald Trump said, white supremacists and neo-Nazis marching in Charlottesville are very fine people.
Wow. And you wonder, when they get to, not to dig too deep on this, but you wonder when they get to the debate, if that should ever happen, will the press mention this? Like they mention, hey, Trump, when they asked Trump about his comments towards women and all that, and he had that great remark about Rosie O'Donnell. Like will I mean, I know the answer to this, Joe. I mean, it's rhetorical, but they won't. But like, how can we just stand by and accept this kind of stuff, Joe?
Well, first of all, I want to, my theory on why he's saying it 500 times, as Elizabeth brought up that one quote, it's because it's the only thing he can remember. So at this point, it's just over and over. It's become cemented in his mind. You repeat the lie long enough and it becomes reality. The media are not going to challenge him on it or Kamala on it because the media are part of the Democratic Party. They are the propaganda arm of the Democratic Party, and they're all in for whoever has the D after their name, as Rush Limbaugh would put it back in his day. Whoever's got the D, as in Democrat, or Dem, short for demon, as I mentioned previously, whoever has the D after their name, that's who they're going to champion. Again, she was a laughingstock just like a month ago before the reins were handed over to her. She never made it in the 2020 election to the first primary. She had to drop out, so not a single person voted for her. And the media, though, will be singing her praises. They're not going to ask the tough questions. They never do. They're going to come after Trump and Vance with a vengeance, just, firing arrow after arrow after arrow. But when it comes to Kamala, it will be, Do you like ice cream as much as Joe Biden likes ice cream? That kind of thing. This is what we're going to see. So prepare your mind for it. She won't get the tough questions. She won't be confronted about being the border czar. And this is the song that will be played between now and Election Day.
But is it working? Is it working? Because being lied to and then discovering it, anybody on X, anybody on serious social media accounts that see this debunked, when they do, how outraged are you? It's worse than knowing the truth from the beginning. The lie is the worst part of all of this. They mentioned on the very first night, Trump 147 times, economy 27, the border only 8 times. Crime 6 times, prices 5 times, inflation 3 times. But Trump was 147 times. And by far and away, that's what they care about, slandering Trump. But what are the polls saying? The polls are saying that this is not working. Trump is up by 3 points and Kamala's down by 2 points. So I don't know how long that will last, and what the Republicans and Trump and Vance are doing to increase the support. But it's very, very clear that they're not getting a bump, and maybe it's because of the things we're talking about today.
Yeah, it's quite simple, and maybe perhaps some of the if they're trying to capture the middle, and by the middle we also mean the middle America. There's an image here that we have, a compilation of the sort of the imagery that the Kamala, if I'm saying it correctly, is using to get their message out, and it's very. You got cowboys, you got flags and fireworks. It's very patriotic. It looks like middle America that they're trying to capture
ridiculous.
here. With the word freedom splashed everywhere. And I mean, I don't know. I guess if you're just coming out of the harvest, the summer harvest, and you're turning on the news to see who your person is, that this might capture you. But I don't think that kind of stuff works. Am I wrong? We'll
the thing
see.
is, there's something called reality out there that people are actually living. So when they hear Kamala or the Democrats or the media say, "Oh, the economy's great, everything's fine, there's nothing to see here," we're inspired for the next 4 years. People are actually suffering. There's people out there that can't afford the groceries that they've been feeding their families with, and their food budget just gets less and less every week because everything is out of control when it comes to the cost of living and inflation. And although inflation may have tapered off, it went way up and the prices still have not come down. So it might have flattened out a bit, but the cost of everything, and we don't have to tell you this, everybody knows this, but they're living the truth. And what they're seeing in the Democrat convention is the lie being broadcast.
Yes.
So will they prefer the lie when they go into the election booth? When you can't pay your bills and you can't feed your family, I think that is the serious concern that will wake people up. It's like irrelevant what the media says. When Elizabeth was saying, will people buy what the media are selling? The people are living their sordid reality right now. And guess who's been in charge for the last 3+ years?
Right. Yeah. Well, a new polling has come out. We have an image here that suggests that even after day one of the convention, Donald Trump is bouncing back up again. So I think you might be right, Joe, when people compare what they're seeing on television, what the news is saying, to what their wallet is saying and what their daily life is, they're just not buying it. And to your point, with the last 3.5 years, if you actually look back on the country, the last 16 years, 12 of them have been with a Democrat in the White House. So to think that we're at this position where everything is being blamed on 4 years of Trump in the White House, when 2 of those years he was under impeachment, when one of them was under COVID, I mean, it really is, it's kind of laughable. And it reminds me of a phrase, where the about the
Thou
devil.
shalt not see the kingdom of God, you liars. No, I'm joking.
Well, I was going to go a different route here with the deception, because they say the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world that he doesn't exist. Mm-hmm. Well, it seems that the Democrat is using that same playbook by saying, if they can convince the world that they haven't been in office, if they haven't been in control of the White House for 12 of the last 16 years, that people will think that they are needed to be in power, because that's all they're doing is this lies and deception. We have a clip here. This is clip number 12, guys, with Kamala being in control this whole time. Let's watch this.
In all these speeches, as good as they were, is that she's in the White House right now. Democrats have controlled the White House for 12 of the last 16 years. And for all of the talk about division and the problems in the country and people are hurting, Democrats have mostly controlled this country. Trump had it for 4. The Obamas and Biden had it for the rest of the time. And somehow, it's still all Trump's fault, and somehow she hasn't been at the center of it. So to me, that's still the glaring hole in this campaign that hasn't yet been solved at the convention. How do you explain all of the problems that will be solved by the person who is currently in there for the last 3.5 years, who is supposed to already be working on solving it?
Can people step back and take that into account? Do you think they will?
Yeah. I think a lot of people will. I think a lot of Democrats will, or people who formerly voted Democrat. But I got to just point out the look on their faces, the total silence, as they were thinking, well, I wish I had known you were going to say that, because we might have framed the question or the segment differently. They looked really, what do you say? No, that's not true. Democrats haven't far leftist, socialist, communist, Marxist, whatever, anti-American leftists have been in charge in 12 out of the last 16 years. And I know Biden is not as left probably as Kamala and the rest, but still. They can't deny it.
Yeah, I don't think so. Josh, when you're watching these clips, I saw Obama last night, and I posted on X that he looked like he reminded me of going to see a concert, of an aging rock band and their reunion concert. He had all the hits, but he just didn't seem like he wanted to be there with his old bandmates, and he was just there for a paycheck.
Yeah.
It's like going to an Eagles concert. What's your take on what you've been seeing here?
Yeah, I think I may have said this at the beginning of the show, but it's almost like watching a different country's idea of the world. And yeah, and in that clip we just watched, how did they let that guy on? By the way, he'll never be back on based on that comment of saying hey, this is the Democrats' problem to solve. The thing that's sad is, the truth is, I had a friend the other day, and he said he was trying to talk to his cousin about politics, and the cousin said, yeah, but Trump's a threat to our democracy. And this stuff, this brainwashing, it works on so many people that we're now talking about this fractional moderate the tug of war is being raged on this person. And as a doomer, of course, guys, I have to tell you, the big doomer disclaimer here. The thing I am very concerned about is this idea of a person going, it might be more comfortable to stay where we're at with the lies and promises, because Trump's been pretty straightforward about, hey, we're going to really make this country go gangbusters, but he hasn't promised a lot of free stuff. And I think that the free stuff, it does pull Americans toward it. I think the result is the closest election we've ever had. That's my take.
Yeah. Yeah.
Doom and gloom. I completely, I'm a doomer too. I'm with you, but I do believe that when people balance the Democrats' free stuff and for a few, for very select markets, and then overall prosperity, prestige in the world, peace, I think that they're going, and safety, safety. I think that they're going, that you can't discount the people can do the simple math that rich college kids that took, LGBTQ theory in college, having their tuitions or their loans canceled and paid off by the government versus low interest rates, record low interest rates, and prosperity and trade and a lot of companies coming back to the United States, moving back, manufacturing. I think, and oil, drill, baby, drill. I think that this is, the people are not that stupid. A lot of people are, but there are many people that can see the difference.
And you're right. And this is why the Democrats, like you said, when you ran down that list, Elizabeth, about how many times things were referenced, if people are hurting with inflation and everything, yet there is this emphasis on Trump. That's all they keep talking about. It was anti-Trump in 2020.
I can't afford to buy eggs.
Yeah, but we have anti-Trump now, anti-Trump 2020. Oh my God, how could Trump even be running in 2016? We have this clip. I think Charlie Kirk, I don't know if it's of Charlie. I don't think I've seen this. It's of Charlie Kirk, or it is Charlie Kirk talking about how they have no substance. Let's watch this clip. Clip 11.
It's all a fugazi. You know what a fugazi is?
No, fugazi. It's fake.
Yeah, fugazi.
Fugazi.
It's a fairy dust. It doesn't exist. It's never landed. It is no matter. It's not on the elemental chart. It's not fucking real.
Matt,
Okay.
that's not Charlie Kirk. Just to,
No, that was Wolf of Wall
heads up.
Yeah. But okay, that's what he tweeted out though. But that is exactly what he just described, I think, what this convention is all about, right, Joe?
It is a convention about non-reality. God is reality, and the devil is opposed to that reality. God is about freedom. The devil is about captivity. And the more they can keep you captive with the free stuff, as you mentioned, this is how the devil operates. They promise utopia, basically, but they don't deliver life. They deliver the opposite of life, which is death, is the ultimate end game for the devil. But you can see, just the people in the audience, there is such a difference between the Republican National Convention and the Democrat National Convention. At the Republican National Convention, people had shirts with messages like "Jesus Christ is King," and just very, very pro-God messages on national television. You look at the folks in the audience at the DNC, it's like the Star Wars bar scene where it's just these mutants and creatures that are just like all shapes and sizes, 57 genders. It is just, the LGBT community was everywhere. And it's just nonstop monstrosity.
The Star Wars game.
They're playing to
We got to play the
base.
Cantina music. We got to make a compilation of it with the Cantina music.
What is the definition of the base of a party? Because, I've been really wondering about the Dems, because it seems to me, if I met most Dems on the street, this ideology that we see on the stage here is not really what Democrats that I've known in the past have been for, have advocated for. It's not part of who they are. But what I see at the Democrat convention is so far left and so perverse and so bizarre and such a lie. And I wonder, when they speak about, they're playing to their base, is that their base? Is that just mean, I'm voting blue no matter who, and no matter what the lies, no matter what the truth, I'm going to vote for them? Is that considered the base? Because then what they're actually saying is the base, which is a minority, is more important than the majority of Democrats.
That's
I don't know.
their whole game. Yeah, that's their whole game, is always to cater to that small 1%. For instance, let's look at this clip here of some prayer rooms. Look at this.
Sorry, I was reading aloud.
Yeah, read it. Yeah.
Gender neutral prayer room.
Yes. To go in and hopefully it's facing, what is it supposed to face east towards Mecca or something? Like, this is the place where you have gender neutral, which I don't think that's allowed in the Muslim faith, right?
Looks like some beer there on the table. You go into your gender neutral prayer room, but you got to have your beer.
Did they have Christian prayer rooms?
Who knows? Maybe
like
that
with
I mean, it didn't,
crosses, and I mean,
to be fair, it didn't mention that it was Muslim, but even
well,
though they
okay,
had the carpets on the floor.
the little prayer rugs are Muslim.
Yes, I didn't see an altar.
See a cross there. I didn't see an
Exactly.
altar cross.
Exactly. And then let's take a look at this. The DNC is requiring ID to enter their facilities, right?
Through the big walls.
Yeah. Is that a clip as well? Let's see that.
Loading the clip.
Loading it up. Clip 10.
Good going, Matt. Congratulations. Move on.
Anyway,
we know they're asking for.
Yeah, they're asking for ID to get in, but of course they don't really care about it at where? The border, right? You need your. Are they taking Blockbuster cards at the border?
No, at polling places.
Polling places,
You know,
yep.
and they also want to defund the police and reimagine it, and it needs to be about I don't know, like social workers.
Yeah.
Right. And then, of course, the DNC is like the whole city's on lockdown practically with so many cops.
Yeah. And it kind of goes back to this whole like who's been in power for so long. And I want to share this clip with Nancy Pelosi because we talked about her earlier, because this seems to me like a big California cabal with Kamala just being ushered in once again. But let's look at this. It's always fun to watch Nancy. If we have.
Have you talked to him? Is my only question.
What I have to do.
Right.
He made the decision for the country. My concern was not about the president, it was about his campaign.
What does that even mean? She doesn't care about the country or the presidency. She cared about the campaign.
I had to do what I had to do. And then she's catching herself and saying, he made the decision. I mean, there's almost no nuance here. She just flubbed it again. She's always revealing the truth, right, Joe?
Yeah, well, I think instead of Biden's face on Mount Rushmore, it should be her face that she's really thinking, even though she's never president of the United States. Yeah, but Nancy Pelosi, she's got some serious issues of her own. I remember for the last 3-4 years, we've seen stories about Nancy Pelosi's own cognitive abilities being challenged. And there's a lot of people in politics that have these issues. Mitch McConnell, as I name drop them. But, Nancy Pelosi is everything that is wrong with American politics. It's
Amen.
Behind the back, backstabbing people, but coming out and saying, oh, what a glorious president he is. His face should be on Mount Rushmore. I mean, it is that twisted deception that Americans just can't stand. Hopefully they'll see through it in this election process. And, for the last 2 weeks, we've had the media pushing this excitement around Kamala Harris. But as you mentioned, the polls are not showing this massive bump for her. I don't even think she's going to get a massive bump after Tim Walz speaks tonight and she speaks tomorrow night. There might be a little bit of one. But again, there's the reality factor. People are suffering seriously. Who's been in charge? They know it. It's not a secret. And I think that's the biggest thing that Trump has going for him in this election, is just to tell people who's been in charge for the last 3.5 years. It wasn't me.
Yeah, you're right. And this comment here is perfect. I find it completely surreal that people like Nancy Pelosi are in power for so long. It's so bizarre. Josh, let's end with this. Let's hear some predictions about what we expect, to hear from Kamala, to hear from Walz, or any of the other cast of characters. I'm sure Bill Clinton they're probably going to bring him out for a speech. Let's go around the horn here for some predictions of what's to come.
Yeah, I mean, my take would be that they'll have to wrap it up with some heavy fear mongering. So essentially, they'll promise a bunch of crap, and then they'll actually say, "Hey, look, we're going to reemphasize again that a vote for anybody but us is the end of the country." They'll say that, and the opposite is true, of course. But that's what I think they'll go for.
Yeah, Elizabeth, how about you?
I think the worst lie that I saw when Pritzker was repeating the injecting bleach lie.
Yes.
People haven't paid any attention to the first part of that sentence because that lie was so bad. And you immediately go there and you say, not again, the injecting bleach hoax. He said, during COVID, we supported small businesses and jobs.
Oh, my goodness.
Donald Trump told us to inject bleach. If we are not working within, or they are not working within, well, they are working within reality. This is Marxist and National Socialist Goebbels type of disinformation. Yeah, we call it gaslighting now, but that is like one of the. Tim Walz had grandmas put in jail because they opened up their little shops. Businesses were destroyed. These people are so evil. And if you are a Democrat or a fence sitter or anybody that is not, or somebody, a Republican who is not registered to vote, not planning or know that you're not going to get off your butt on November 5th and go to vote, you are doing something very, very wrong. These people are evil. The party is evil.
Joe, what do you think? What do we expect to see?
Well, Bill Clinton is supposed to speak tonight, right? I believe he's on the schedule for tonight. And remember, he's the guy that made it mainstream in America to lie to the American people's faces. I did not have sex with that woman. I think he was referring to Hillary.
Monica Lewinsky.
No, I think it was Hillary.
It was Hillary.
Right. But, I mean, and you had news stories come out in the media. What a great liar this guy is. He has turned deception into an art form. So you can expect more lying to go on tonight. But the big thing is you're going to hear a whole bunch of nothingness. You will not hear from either Clinton or Tim Walz himself any policies. They still don't have their policies up. In fact, we have a news story we just posted before this show came on WorldNet Daily about how Trump's people have posted a Kamala Harris policy website, which is all of her policies. Like, we're going to let illegals in, we're going to let them vote, all these horror stories of what her policies actually are. But you will hear nothing, the big squatter, when it comes to that from these people tonight.
Yeah, I think I think America's just going to hear a big, giant sucking sound as our freedoms get pulled back further and further, and if they are allowed to win this election. So, folks, to watch the debate or the convention tonight and tomorrow. That way, you can join us here on Friday as we see what kind of wrap up we can pull together. I look forward to going through it with you guys. It's so great to be here with you guys. On behalf of everybody here, we thank you for watching, and God bless.